Highly successful individuals are always focused on what's next, but they often don't take time to reflect on their journey and how far they've come. I'm Craig Heatherly, host of the Path Less Traveled podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary leaders. Their success rarely follows a straight path, and that's what makes their story so remarkable. Now let's dive into this week's episode after a brief message from our sponsors. A big thank you to Senior One Care for sponsoring today's episode. Founded in 2006 by Carl and Kyle Bossing, this family-owned business has provided compassionate in-home care for nearly 2 decades. If my family needed a caregiver, I'd call Kyle. With 6 Indiana locations, they give you the peace of mind while your loved ones receive the care they deserve. Learn more at senior1care.com. This episode is brought to you by Mosier Consulting, the powerhouse behind some of the most innovative technology solutions in northern Indiana. For 30 years, Mosier has been delivering best-in-class solutions. If you're a leader in your company, Mosier is your partner in progress. With deep expertise in analytics, AI, managed services, Microsoft, IT savings, and strategic consulting, they don't just support your tech, they elevate your entire business. Mosier Consulting, technology experts, real results. Visit MosierIT.com to learn more. Welcome to the Path Less Traveled podcast. This week we feature the president of United Beverage, Matt Nelson. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Craig. I really appreciate it and excited to talk a little bit about myself, my family, and the great company I work for.
Yeah, this is unique. We've got quite the display here. I know you guys are really into displays in your industry, but I look at a whole host of products here, and the one in the middle, the Budweiser bottle, gosh, it made a run for quite some time, and now we've got a whole suite of portfolio products. Tell me about the evolution of just your world.
It is constantly evolving. You're trying to keep up with trends, give the consumer everything that they could ask for or want. I know when the company first started, we just had a handful of SKUs, a few products, and that covered all of your bases. Now it's ever-changing. We've also grown our non-alc portfolio. We carry great brands like Nesquik Chocolate Milk, Sparkling Ice. Liquid Death is a fun brand that continues to grow. And then some of the other ones, we've now gotten into the RTD category, which that means ready to drink. It's the canned cocktails. Cutwater is one of them that's exploding. We carry Neutral, which is like your High Noons, the vodka seltzers. And there's new trends every year, and you're just trying to hope your team is able to pick up those right ones, and you run with it while you can. I know it's been controversy with Bud Light. They had a debacle a few years ago, and then Modelo was on top. Well, luckily, we also had Modelo. Now Mich Ultra is gaining that pace, and the sizes, the shift of consumer trends on what's healthy, what's new. Our non-alc beers is a growing trend now. People who just, maybe they only drink non-alc beers during the week and then they go back to their beers on the weekend. The healthier for you lifestyle, it all impacts how the business is being run.
We were talking about this before we got it going, just the evolution of the industry going from, your traditional beer to craft beer to seltzers to mom waters it's quite the evolution. You've got to stay on top of trends. I guess, how do you stay on top of this evolving world?
Well, we read the consumer trade rags that provide some insight. The great thing is I get to sample a lot of products. Our team, we share new items with them when we see that twisted teas, the iced teas are booming. All right, well, Happy Dad's coming out with one, and Anheuser-Busch is coming out with a hoop tea and a Skimmers, and everybody's trying to find that piece of the pie and run with it. We just try and do the market research. Where are trends going? Do people want carbonated or non-carbonated, full flavor, no flavor? It is a guessing game, and we have missed greatly at times, but you just try and keep moving forward, and usually 1 or 2 hits and you run with that brand.
You've said you get to be a taste tester. I guess your preference right now today, what is your personal preference?
I would say I'm still simple. I'm a Busch Light guy. I'm a Bud Light guy. Give me 5 or 6 of them. I'll be very happy. Enjoy the occasional craft beer. We also see Long Drink. That's a great brand for us, and I absolutely love it. It's a gin spirit, very refreshing and citrusy. And I know probably everyone who's listening goes, I don't like gin. Trust me, you will like this. It doesn't taste like gin. You don't get the juniper berry, the pine, like you like the pine tree. Absolutely love those drinks. They're light. They're easy to drink. So those would be the ones I'm going with right now. But you can't also beat a Corona with a lime sitting on a beach or by a pool. It's just starting to snow out here right now. Maybe I'll go home tomorrow, have a Corona with a lime and make some tacos and just be as happy as I can be.
Looking for top talent in tech or professional fields? Avero Talent connects businesses with exceptional candidates, specializing in tailored recruiting solutions that match the right skills to your team's needs. Whether building a team or searching for a tough-to-fill position, Avero Talent delivers the expertise you need to hire smarter, faster, and with more confidence. Let us help you find your next star employee. Well, you're fourth generation at United Beverage. Your great-grandfather started the company a few decades back. We've kind of talked about what you guys do, but be a little bit more specific about what United Beverage is, what you do, and maybe what's unique about your guys' footprint.
Okay. So we cover 3 counties. We are St. Joseph, LaPorte, and Elkhart County. Our main supplier, we're a beer distributor, first and foremost, but that has continued to evolve. Our main supplier being Anheuser-Busch, and then we have Constellation Brands, which is your Corona, your Modelo, Pacifico, Victoria. Heineken is another big player. And then we have a lot of local crafts or regional crafts, Sierra Nevada, Great Lakes. We work with Round Barn out of Michigan, Maplewood, Metazoa. Our portfolio continues to grow, which is great. I look at us as the beer distributor, and what that means is we service your Walmarts, your Martins, your on and your off premise. So all of our local bars and restaurants. For those brands, people work with our sales team and our staff to try and get all of the consumers every beverage that they would like. And it's not just beers now. We look at it more as occasion-based and being able to provide our goods to consumers, whether that's they're looking for a beer or they're looking for a good to grow juice that they see at Walmart with the fun little action figure heads on them. We want to be a part of every occasion, no matter what that is.
Wow. And you grew up in the business, I guess. What was that like growing up, knowing that this could be a potential career for you? Is it something that you knew you always wanted to be a part of? Or I guess, how did you find yourself post-college working at United Beverage?
So I started mowing the grass and working in breakage when I was about 12 years old. And at that time, it was a much smaller breakage room, and you were going through and cleaning off cans and throwing out broken glass beer bottles and repacking. And then I would go outside and mow the lawn. And I would do that when I'd ride into work on Saturday mornings with my dad. That was our big thing. We'd go grab breakfast together. He would be doing work in the office. And when I wasn't riding my bike around the warehouse or rollerblading, I had chores that I had to get done, whether that be in the breakage room or, like I said, mowing the grass. Business has always been a part of my life. I have 2 older sisters, and at different times, we've all worked for the company. All through high school, I was a merchandiser, so I would I've had different areas, but you would go to the grocery stores and fill the shelves and build the displays. And then once I was a little bit older, I started riding on the trucks. And then I think it was a punishment. Maybe it wasn't. My dad put me on the keg route because he said, it'll make you stronger. It's good for you. Well, you're throwing kegs all day and carrying them up and down staircases. It was a great workout and made me passionate about it. Then I was not involved in the business for a while. I went off to college. I went to Butler, worked in Indianapolis for a while, and then had the opportunity to come back and work for the family business. And I started on assistant sales or vacation sales role out in Michigan City and LaPorte. I've covered all of our territories. I've kind of done all of the jobs in the office, which is great. I think having those experiences, now when there's complaints from somebody, I've done the role. I know what they're going through, their frustrations, and it provides you with more clarity to any of their concerns. currently our president, like you said, and I've continued to work my way up through the company. And it's just a company that I'm very passionate about. Did I know I would always be in beer sales? Not necessarily, but it is a fun company. And if you're not having fun in the beer industry, it's probably something you're doing wrong, because you get to go out to bars and buy people drinks and have that fun atmosphere. So it's an industry that is great to be a part of.
As you've been on this kind of upward trend within the organization and then learning more and more about the industry, you talk about the different positions that you've held. And I do firmly believe, and it's been echoed by a lot of the guests that are third, fourth, fifth generation leaders, the importance of kind of working your way up and then also kind of knowing all the different positions and components of the business to better understand the job of somebody else. Is there a job that wasn't as easy for you to hold that you maybe have a little bit more respect for, or are they all different in their own sense?
Yeah, I think they all have their own difficulties, the intricacies of each role, what seems to be the driving focus, how can you make this better? I think every role has its own challenges, and learning to adapt to that and what works best gives you better insight into the company as a whole.
Yeah. Well, the title of the podcast is The Path Less Traveled. And when you think about that title, you think about your leadership journey, I guess, how do you relate?
With my journey, I think it is taking pride in the company from starting at the bottom, but also knowing that it's a generational company that so many others, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, they poured their blood, sweat, and tears into that company as well. And so it's the daily reminder that I want to make them proud, make my family proud, and continue to build United Beverage into a great company for the community. It's about giving back to the community that we've been so entrenched in, building our name in the community. It's always been, Budweiser or Modelo. Now we're focused on those brands are great and we want to continue building them, but we also want to grow our identity as a company and get out there and show how entrenched in the community we are and how appreciative we are for everything we have.
Would you consider that, just being a year and a half in or about 2 years into the president role here, that being somewhat of your fingerprint on the company? I guess, where would you like to see United Beverage going, or the impact that it's having in the next couple of years?
I would love to continue partnering with local organizations. We have a large partnership with Folds of Honor. That's one foundation I'm very passionate about, giving back to local veterans and their families. Ronald McDonald House is another great charity in our community that I'm passionate about. And then the Food Bank of Northern Indiana is located across the street from us. So I call it volunteering, but I voluntold our whole sales staff and and we're actually going over there on Friday to help with their big Turkeys on the Table initiative. And we do this a few times a year where we go over, we help do boxes and fill bags for people. Just giving back to the community makes you feel great.
Well, you've been I think we've all been on different leadership journeys and paths throughout our career, and some are much further along than others. When you think about your leadership superpower, if there was such a thing, what would be a leadership superpower that you would have that either you've worked extensively on or it's just been a natural gift of yours?
I think there's a few things that when I think of my leadership style, how I focus that, and it's doing the things, and it's leading by example. You want to have clarity into what you're doing and the tone that you're setting. And when I say tone, I don't mean like your catchphrases are great, which my grandfather had great catchphrases and he was always known for that. But it's not about catchphrases. Your tone is how people perceive you and how they see what you do when you show up every day, and the messaging that you put forth, how people look at the company, or when you're not around, are they still doing the things that are driving the company forward? I think an item that I failed in the past was that I was too focused on, I wanted to be a part of everything. I needed my hands in everything. I was micromanaging. And I think you have to make sure you're building other leaders and not just followers. So pushing the culture in the right way sets the table for how you are perceived, how the company is perceived, making sure there's accountability. And so I think by leading by example and listening more than you speak. My wife once said that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should be taking in all the information, processing it before you go off the handle and shout or have a conversation. You should always be trying to process, what can I learn from this? What can I take away? And then give the best path forward.
You're talking about company culture, and culture's top down. And we've now touched on, I think it's the third time now that you've been in this role, president role, for a short period of time. I guess, how do you see the culture at United Beverage with you leading? Or how would you like to see it with you leading?
I would like for everybody to be accountable. I think that you have to allow people to become that leader. I mean, you can reprimand or babysit people, but it's the pride in the work. Are the deliveries going according to schedule? Are you doing X, Y, and Z at the accounts that make us the best? You want to have that customer service oriented push. The best thing we can offer is service. People don't have to pick our brands, but if we're doing our job, getting those displays, getting them in people's faces, maybe somebody will try it who hasn't tried one of our products. So I think that's the culture I continue to try and build, is that you want to allow people to have pride in their work. We're fortunate we have 80 employees at our company. And so I always look at it as we have 80 families that I'm helping to make sure that they're taken care of. The great thing with our employees is we have so many employees that have been there 25, 30. We even have a few that have been there for 40 years. We're talking about different generation of employees that aren't the ownership side. We have a father-son CDL drivers currently. We've had multiple brothers who are CDL drivers. In our office, we have a brother and sister team who have both been there for 30 years, and their father worked at United Beverage before that. If you can establish a pride in what you do and know that your employer and employees trust each other and we're going to be there for you when the hard times come, it's something I'm very proud of, that my family, the company, has been able to create this legacy.
It's inspiring. It's so cool. I mean, to be able to be at the top and have that type of impact on your employees and their families. It comes with a weight though, right? So let me tap into your mind a little bit as a business leader, having that type of feeling that type of responsibility to care for not just you and your family, not just your employees, but their families as well. What's that like?
I would say there is a great weight to that. There have been the sleepless nights. There have been the 2 a.m. phone calls when an employee's in trouble or needs help out of a jam. Somebody's a couple $100 short. And you try and just be there for them, letting them know that, yeah, work is what you're here for, but that I do want you to consider us a family or a friend. Let me know what we can do to assist you. You want the best health insurance for your employees. You want to be able to not let them be stressed over income. You just want to provide that peace to them, that as long as I'm doing my job, the company will also help take care of me.
Work, life, family, you're balancing all three is what you're talking about right now, and making sure that, yeah, we have a job to do, but we also have to make sure that our people are healthy mentally and physically, and we've got, really good team in place. The work-life balance conversation, we've talked about it. You work hard at it. Why?
I think that's the most important thing in life, is your family. I have beautiful wife who I love, who I am extremely proud of, Dr. Lauren Nelson at Greenleaf Family Dentistry. I'll give a plug. If you have any dental needs, she is the best.
I think she was the one that told you should maybe do this podcast, right? So I'd like to thank her as well. Thank you, doctor.
So she is the one who convinced me that I should go on this, that it would be good for the company. It'd be good for the community to tell our message.
Yeah.
And then I have two little girls who I love to death, Annie and Audrey, who are everything to me. And I work so hard so I can spend more time with them, so that I know the company is moving in the right direction, where if Annie's got a concert or a gymnastics event, I can leave early and be there for those and not miss those moments. I smile every time I think of those kids. And this weekend was great. When we started to get the snow yesterday, the first thing they wanted to do, let's go out and play in the snow. And there's no better feeling.
So the balance piece, I want to spend a little bit more time there, because we just talked about the weight that you have being a leader and, having so many lives depend upon you and the decisions that you and the team make and the business that you run. But then, the balance piece of life, I guess, how do you unwind? What do you do for fun? What do you do to just get away from the office and just, what's fun look like for Matt Nelson?
That's fair. Enjoy golfing. I am not a good golfer.
I don't enjoy golfing.
I also enjoy responsibly enjoying our wonderful products. I wouldn't say you should overdo that. I mean, there's always moderation in consuming responsibly, but our goods help people unwind and have fun. One big hobby I have would be cooking. I would say I'm avid about cooking, about food, a little bit of a foodie. I like trying new things, going out to interesting restaurants that I would not have tried. I mean, what goes better with beer than pizza or barbecue? If you can pair those off and do a little bit of both, it's a great night.
Well, there's this thing of, is it who or is it what? And typically it's not always the what that has had an impact on somebody's life. It's usually the who. And as we look at maybe the who's of your world and upbringing and maybe where you're at today, I guess, who comes to mind as somebody that's had an impact on you? Mentors, teachers, coaches, parents, colleagues, etc. And so who comes to mind, but then also, what was it about that person that comes top of mind for you?
The first one that popped into my head when you said that is my mother. We lost her early this year in April. I was always a mama's boy. She was at every event. She prided herself on being there for her family. I think she always instilled in me the love of food also. Some of that resonates back to standing in the kitchen and cooking with her. And I would mess things up, and I never look at recipes even to this day, because she taught me it was all about the flavor. And the overuse of garlic was prevalent in our house, and I still I think garlic is one of the best flavors. You can't have too much. But I think my mom was that influential piece. And my father also. A good core at home is what creates stability. My father would always be my biggest supporter in athletics, or he was also the tough one, where mom was still just the gentle one who pushed me in the right direction, but was passionate that I did the right thing. It was making sure that faith was a big part of our family, instilling those messages that the way she wanted us to be brought up. The simple things of doing right unto others, and I think she was that influential piece of what I pride myself and the key things that I take away and continue to live my daily life according to those values. Would mom be proud of this? Yeah. Would mom be proud of this? Probably not. I won't. Maybe I need to shy away from that. Yeah. I think that's a good piece to have.
It's like, I'm on this journey right now of what's your true north. So, 85, when you're 85 years old and on the porch with your spouse or better half and you're drinking your favorite drink and you look at each other and you say, wow, we really crushed life because we did this and we did this and we did this really well. What are those things, right, that are, your guiding lights and decision-making along the way and your filter for what you say yes to and what you say no to? So thank you for sharing that, as mom's played such a huge role on you, clearly. She gave you a lot of advice. Dad's giving you a lot of advice. What advice do you wish you would have received as a younger you? Or what advice would you give to a younger Matt Nelson just coming out of Butler University?
I would say everybody's going to make mistakes, but it's how you react to those mistakes. I try and instill that in our team now. You're going to mess up, but it's how you adapt to that. How do you respond? How are you going to continue from here? How are you going to get better from those mistakes that show what you can do to continue building? I think the other giant piece that I wish I would have done sooner was focusing on family. I think when you first get a promotion, your whole life is committed to that job and being the best you can be. And you can still take pride in that. But I mentioned earlier the micromanaging. It's building other leaders that, I trust this person because we've put them there, that they're going to get the job done. And I don't have to watch every piece, but it is important for me to check in, to do the market visits, to do the ride with our drivers, to ensure things are happening the way we want to see them progress, but not necessarily having your fingers in every promotion we run or every piece of pricing that we do. You have to know that you have built this team and you trust them, and they're going to be the ones that continue pushing you forward, continue growing the business so that you can step back and spend the time with the kids, go on that vacation, enjoy life.
Success changes the game. Your business is growing. New opportunities, ambitious goals, greater impact. But growth brings complexity. More people to lead, more moving parts, less time and space to think and connect. And when leaders feel that strain, teams do too. At Cressy Leadership, we help leaders navigate those challenges. Through individual coaching, group training, and our Leadership Academy, we build the skills and strengthen the connections that make growth sustainable, helping teams communicate openly, tackle challenges together, and stay aligned on what matters most. Cressy Leadership. Envision what's possible.
You just talked about the, letting go of control, putting trust in your team so that they can, do their jobs and just not having your hands in everything. I guess, what's one of the hardest parts of leading for you? One of the most challenging parts of leading? Is it really that? Is it really just like letting go of control? Or is it, what is it for you?
I think it's the minutia pieces that you don't want to. Where are you finding the passion in this one?
Yeah.
I don't love staring at Excel sheets every day and inputting numbers so that I can send them to Krugel Lawton, who's a great partner also. I'll tout them. But it's the bigger picture of, I know that the company is going in the right direction because I'm making sure all of these boxes are checked. The big picture. I think that is a very important part of the job. But then I also, this industry is a lot of fun. Like I said, we get to have events every weekend or every night. You can go to a bar and probably find one of our team members doing some sort of promotion for the NFL, a UFC fight night, whatever hunting you're into, if it's bush light. And it's finding the joy in the everyday at the end. Just how are you going to look at the business?
Well, I've got maybe one or two questions before, we get your final thoughts as we start to wrap up. You've accomplished United Beverage, but also, you've accomplished a lot in your short time on this earth. We'll call it a short time because you're still pretty young. What are you most proud of? And this could be within the business. It could be within the personal life. I guess, what are you most proud of as you think about that question?
That is a very loaded question. There's a lot of pieces to that. But when I think of what am I most proud of, it's my family. I want to be seen as that family man who, what I am most proud about is my wife, is my sisters, is my father, is my daughters. They're what I am most proud about. And I feel so fortunate that I get to lead United Beverage, to continue on that legacy of my grandfather, of my great-grandfather, trying to do something that would make them proud. We've continued to grow over the years, and I have no doubt we will continue growing. In my next 10 years, I would love to see us acquire more territories, additional counties, continue to build our footprint so that we can have more great family valued employees working at United Beverage. And that's what I hope my legacy is someday, is that, yeah, United Beverage was always a wonderful place to work. I'm proud of the work I did there. Look at how large it's become. Look at the decisions we've made. But most importantly, going back to when you're 85, I hope my wife and I are just proud of the children we raised, enjoying our marriage and our life that we've built together. That's what keeps moving me.
Well, I mean, to have that type of perspective at a young age with young kid, you're on the right path.
I appreciate you saying that, sir.
Well, I guess as we wrap up here, what would be some final thoughts that you would have as it pertains to United Beverage or leadership or your team or the industry or where things are going? I guess anything that you want to share, the floor is yours to close us out.
Well, first, I'll crack a beer. I won't drink on through the mic because people don't want to hear that. But I would just say thank you for having me on here. I think this is a great platform to talk about our local community, the different leaders that you've had. And where I want to see United Beverage grow is just continue to prosper, to have a larger impact in the community. I think there's bigger things we can do. I think there's things every day that we can take pride in, and how we build our name throughout the community. We've been around since December 5th, 1932. That's a huge accomplishment to have that long of a legacy. And I just want to continue building upon that and how we can affect the local community. Another great thing that we've been able to do is in different tragedies and for our first responders, we partner with Anheuser-Busch for a canned water initiative where we donate pallets of water. A few years ago, there was a lot of flooding in Goshen, and we were able to partner with them to make sure people had good drinking water. Like I said, we partner with the food bank still for a lot of donations to them, which makes their lives easier. That we can be an active and important part of the community is what's paramount to me.
This has been a great conversation. I'm so happy that your wife nudged you to say yes to this, because, having you on it and share, you shared quite a bit about United Beverage, but, you within the leadership role of keeping work-life balance top of mind, focusing on culture, talking about legacy and community impact. I mean, as a fourth generation leader, there's no doubt this will get to the fifth generation with you at the lead. So I want to thank you for telling a little bit more about the United Beverage story, but then also your leadership journey. And that's it for this week's episode of the Path Less Traveled podcast with the president of United Beverage, Matt Nelson. Until next week, have a great day.